Hello everyone, welcome to Edie's Craft Room. I'm Hannah Catherine Brand. Thank you so much for joining me today here on my channel. Also, I have to tell you hello from my little Gumbo. He's right next to me. Look at him, just lounging. Okay, we're back. Quick side note, it is hot and my air conditioner is not broken anymore, but this was the best we could do with the hair today, so bear with me. You all are here for the quilt anyway. Today I am sharing with you my finished Edelweiss quilt. I love this quilt. I know so many of you do too. This is one of, I think so many people would agree, one of the top quilts of 2024, especially coming in a quilt kit. This is a quilt kit from Moda. Of course, the pattern and the fabric is all from Camille Ross-Kelly, which is one of my favorite designers, and I'm sure that surprises no one that I would also love this quilt. It has the blues, it has the greens, it has the florals, it has that coastal feel, and it is just a beautiful quilt. It finishes at, I believe, 74 inches square, so it's a good size, but not too big, not too small. And it is fat quarter friendly, so that's really fun for making the flowers that you see in the quilt. And then there is yardage for the background, borders, binding, backing, and then also for the stems, I think, and as well as the center. So a good mix of fabrics there, but not too much fabric, I guess, required, because it is not the most massive quilt, which is nice. To make the vine blocks, I have my stem and then the borders for the block, and then these are the background fabrics to separate the leaves. I have found it very helpful to keep these labeled just because the sizes are so close to one another, and that way I don't have to remeasure, or when I'm going back and forth between this project, it's just really helpful to have everything nice and organized to make this process easy. So now it's just a matter of putting together the leaves, and these are just made up of these rectangles, these green rectangles, and it's fairly scrappy. So you choose 2 of them to make 1 leaf, and then you will sew it together and then add snowball corners on the side with this background fabric. So I'm just gonna go ahead and choose just a bunch of random fabrics to make my leaves. And I will just choose, it'll be 6 fabrics per side of the vine. So now that I have my fabrics selected, I am just going to take each of these groups of 2, go to the sewing machine, and then sew a seam to sew them all together to make some leaves. And then I'm just going to press that center seam open. Now that the base for my leaves are all done, it's time to add snowball corners to the sides with the background fabric. So for the leaves on the left side, the snowball corners are going to go in this orientation, and for the leaves on the right side, the snowball corners are going to go in this orientation. So I will add these to all of the leaves. I'm going to do it right sides together, not like that, that's just so you can see, and do a diagonal seam this way from corner to corner, and then I will just press my squares out toward the corners and then trim the excess. So I'll do all that and then meet you back here to lay out our next steps. So now that I have my leaves complete, I can add the background fabric that goes in between them. So I'm just following the pattern really closely and choosing my background fabric that I have up here out of frame based on the letter I have it labeled. So I am using a fabric G rectangle, and that's going to go on the top of that one, and then an I, and that's gonna go in between these two, and then an E, this one's super tiny. This is gonna go in between these two, and then an F, which is gonna go at the bottom, which you can't see, but I'm putting it there, of that half of the leaves. And then next I'm going to take another F and put that in between those two leaves. And then a J is gonna go between those two leaves. And then last but not least, I'm gonna use an H, and that's gonna go at the very bottom of this set of leaves. And what you'll do is you'll just sew all of this together, and then all of your seams point downward, so you press in the same direction. And then it's really simple from there. That's the hardest part of this block. All you do is just attach each side to your center stem unit and then press. And then you just add these two borders, if you will, to the side to help it square up to 14 inches square. And that is how you sew the stem blocks. Now, these definitely take the most time. These are the more time-consuming blocks out of the quilt, but they're so pretty and they're not really hard. That is why I wanted to knock this one out first, because once you finish your stem blocks, then you can do your flower blocks. Of course, you can do them in whatever order you prefer. Now, you are making, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you're making 12 variations of this. And again, there's really no rhyme or reason. The pattern does say to put the lighter fabric on the bottom of the leaves, but I do have some, I have some of my leaves that have two lighter fabrics, so it's just really up to your preferences. If you buy the kit, which I'm not sure if they're still in stock, but you can follow along exactly how it is in the pattern. I tried doing that, but honestly, it was just really time consuming and it doesn't matter too much. So what I did follow was the placement of like my white flowers and then some of the lighter blue and the darker blue because I liked the distribution. But in terms of the actual stem units and leaves, it really doesn't matter. And it'll save you quite a bit of time if you're just making it in a little bit more of a controlled, scrappy fashion. So I'm gonna sew all of this up, press it, and then show you the final block. And here is the finished block. It looks so good. Here's an example of another one that I have done. Such a pretty block, and I feel like the camera truly doesn't do it justice. It's just so nice, and also what a great block in that you just really don't have to have anything line up. There aren't any like seams that you have to get in terms of points that you're gonna lose, so really forgiving. I love it. So now onto the flowers. This is such a fun block and it comes together fairly quickly. So what I did was just laid out my squares that are going to make the petals, and then this is the center. So the center you don't have to do anything to, but the first step is going to be taking these blocks and adding some snowball corners. So those will go, I'll show you on this one, just like this, and I'm just following the pattern. But essentially I am going to be making 4 of these, and I will show you how to make those units. We're calling these the A units. And then I will be making 4 of a different type of block or unit where the snowball corners are actually going to go on the top. So I'll do 4 of these blue squares like this with snowball corners and 4 of these blue squares like this with snowball corners. I am sewing my seams diagonally and then pressing and trimming off any of the excess, and they'll be sewn like this, right sides together, not like this. Now that I have my petals complete, I just have to complete the individual units. So here I will just be attaching the ones with the snowball corners on the sides to a fabric B rectangle and then pressing, and then I will attach this half of the unit to this rectangle. This is a fabric C rectangle, and that will make my corner units of the flower. These are really easy. These are just going to be the center petals around the flower, and so all I have to do is just attach my F units to the petal, and that is really it. So once I sew these up and press them, I'll lay it all out and show you how I'm going to sew it into rows. And there are all of the elements for the flower block. So it is super simple to finish it up from here. You are just gonna sew everything into rows and then attach the rows together, and there you have it. So I'm gonna sew this all up and show you the final block. And there is the final block. So I have actually already pre-made all of my other rows. I have one more block to make. It's a flower block, so it'll go really quick. And then I am so excited to sew my rows together. I just need to add the borders after that. So those look like this, and actually this is the fabric that I'll be using for those small borders. And then I will be done, and the quilt top will be ready to send to my long arm quilter. So hold on just a minute, let me get my backing because I want to show you that too. So this is my backing fabric, and this is a 108, so really pleased that they had that, because I love purchasing that much more than just the regular size yardage. So this will be the backing, and that is, I think, pretty much it. So let me do some much more dedicated sewing. I'm gonna finish this up and share the grand reveal with you. I believe the pantograph I used and selected for this, that my long arm quilter, Sundance Quilting, used to quilt it, was called, I think, Audrey. If that is wrong, I will correct it here, but it turned out beautifully and I think complemented the florals very well, and just overall gave it such a happy feeling. I chose an ice blue thread. I was really struggling with what thread to use for the quilting, just because the background is a darker color, my backing is darker, but I didn't want to take away from the lighter fabrics that you see in the petals as well as in the stems. So I think that ice blue thread did really well. It does show up a little bit more white than I guess I should have considered, but overall it's fine, no regrets. And then the cute little border, this is fabric that was included in the kit and just adds a little bit of pop of color, as well as with the little flower motifs, just a little bit of extra interest here. I will certainly be using this quilt in my home and enjoying it. Y'all know how excited I was for this one, so it's even more exciting to have it finished and ready to go and ready to enjoy. And also, it is another project that I have tackled in my UFO pile. It has gone from an unfinished object or a work in progress to a fully finished object, so I guess that just means I have to buy more quilting stuff, right? Now that I have some open room. No, I really am trying to close out the remaining quilts I have this year. I know as much as I want to shoot for the stars, realistically, I'm not going to be able to finish absolutely everything that I have currently in progress before the end of the year, but I at least want to make some good progress. That way I can start next year fresh and get excited for the new stuff that I know is coming out. Before I go, one quick tease for next week. I have some really exciting news to share with you. I cannot wait to let the cat out of the bag, but I need to finalize a few things before that happens. So if you are not already subscribed and you enjoyed this video, I would love to see you back here next week, because there are some really exciting things coming out of Edie's craft room, and I would love for you to be one of the first to know about it and to join me in celebrating this really exciting milestone in quilting. Saying quilting might be overly really ambitious, but at least my quilting. As always, thank you so much for joining me here in my craft room, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.